Okay, so the customer's brought this car in and complaining about a driveline issue, thought it was the tail shaft or the donut. I went for a quick drive with him before. I thought it was an engine mount problem. As you can see, the engine lifting under load, we put the handbrake on the car, let the clutch out because it's on the manual, put on load and lifted the engine mount up. So it's definitely got a broken engine mount. That's what it felt like to me, so it was a correct diagnosis. I'm going to take it up, check the other engine mount, check the right hand side as well, and check anything else underneath that could be untowards, and then I can report it to the customer and quote it. Where's your torch, Steve?
Paul and Steve, upon finding Steve's torch, take a sticky beak under the car.
This side, on the left-hand side, in here, you can see that lifting, so that engine mount's broken. This side's okay. Donut seems all right. All right, clock off it and quote it. So it just appears that that's just that one engine mount. We're going to get a price on it, call the customer, tell him how much it's going to repair.
Wayne gets stuck into removing the buggered engine mount.
He's fucking getting into it.
And stuck might just be the word, as this pesky sod just doesn't want to budge. Success! Out with the old and in with the new.
So here we have the culprit, the broken engine mount. You can see it's separated there, lifting apart, so I can't pull it apart by hand, but I'm sure if I had more strength I'd be able to pull it apart completely. But yeah, that shouldn't pull apart at all there, so you can see it's all broken one side. So that's rubbish. Now to wash my hands. Right, here we have the brand new engine mount. As you can see, the other one was separating away from itself. So that was all lifting apart, and that's what caused the engine to vibrate.
With the new mount installed, the Commodore is due for another test drive before handing it back over to the customer. Wait, hang on. I'm having a case of deja vu here. Something's still not right. Paul has noticed serious steering shudder during the road test and suspects the issue might run deeper. Keagan and Paul check over the car once more.
That's normally where they fail, in the centre bearing there. We have to drop these.
Let me introduce you to our culprit. Say g'day to the rear driveline coupler.
Okay, so we've come back in the SV6 and the driveline shudder it's still there. Even though we've replaced that engine mount, which was definitely broken, we saw the engine lift. After the test drive, the shudder was still there. It even felt like the car was missing. It was that bad. So on closer inspection, there's a covers underneath the back of the car. It's hard to see that the rear driveline coupler, which is between the tail shaft and the differential, mounts in between there and dampens any shudder. That was distorted, actually broken in some places. Very hard to see underneath the car, and while it's on the car, because you're not seeing it at a straight angle. So that was the problem. We replaced that, took it for another test drive. The car drove beautiful, back to the customer, all happy. We'll have a look down here. So, as you can see, this is an earlier model, but certainly the same type of setup. The tail shaft bolts onto a coupler like that there, and that's the front one off this car. You can see you've got a coupler at either end. And so what happened was, while the tail shaft's twisting around, go back down here, while it's twisting around, it was out around and causing the whole vibration in the car. That's exaggerated, obviously. Okay, so there we have a situation where it's not clear cut. The customer's rung me up and says, look, I think I've got a centre bearing problem with the drive shaft. Okay, I've taken the car for a test drive. I've personally felt that it felt like an engine mount issue. And we've checked that, and it was an engine mount issue initially. That was the first most obvious issue. But it had a secondary issue being the the rear coupling. So it's not always so clear cut, and people ring up, "Oh, you're a mechanic and can't you just plug something in and work things out?" Well, it's not that simple. It is a process of elimination. Sometimes you always do the most obvious thing first and try to eliminate that problem. Otherwise, you know, you don't know where you're at. So, and a lot of times customers ring up and say, "How much for that and how much is it going to cost?" Well, you don't know. You don't know until you see the car. It's very, very difficult. Cars don't talk to you. You can't plug them in and they'll tell you exactly what's wrong with them. They can give you an indication. So we do our best to try to find a problem as soon as we can and get on top of things and most economically as possible. It's not always that easy.
This SV6 rolls away with both the obvious engine mount brake as well as that sneaky little bugger, the rear driveline coupler, resolved and solved. Another off the job card.
Awesome, we're doing a 70k, 75k service today on the VE Commodore SS. It's got a bit of a front brake shudder, so we're going to lift her up, take off the wheels, measure the rotors and the brake pads and see where it's coming from so we can sort that out for the customer. Hopefully get it done within the next couple of hours and it'll be good.
Dolton will need to run the car through a safety check and service as well. Intake manifold off, wheels off, fluids out. Only strippers and mechanics can brag about grinding on the job. Dolton should consider himself lucky.
Done and dusted, looking pretty smooth.
One smooth character. Oh, that's just him washing his hands, by the way. A quick refit and she's all good to go. Keagan is a very sensible lad when it comes to sun safety and won't conduct a road test without something on his noggin. That's better. Oh, and seatbelts. Keagan's also mad on seatbelts. He's super safe, our Keagan. Brake shutter seems sorted. The car is driving well, but Keagan has taken a fancy to another car on the drive back. This one's a rip snorter of a classic. We can but dream, Keegs. We can but dream.
Bit of history for you, mate.